Hello everyone, it's me, John Lorden. Welcome to an episode of Johnny Vlogs. Feels like I have not spoken to you guys in so long. We have so much catching up to do. Starting off with a little bit of a big announcement. Do you see this hat here? What does it say? 20,000. This was a gift from the wife. Thank you, dear. And it was really cool because she brought it to me in the morning and I went 20,000, and I went and looked at my subscriber count and we had hit it. So first of all, thank you to each and every one of you that has subscribed to the Lorden Arts channel. Been a heck of a ride. I'm looking forward to the ride continuing into 2017 and beyond. That reminds me, Happy New Year's to all of you as well. I know that I usually do something special for you guys around landmarks like this, but unfortunately with the holiday season and everything kicking around, I just couldn't scratch something together. So I promise you we will do something extra special when we hit 25. I already know what I want to do, but I'm going to keep it a secret. It takes a bit of footwork to get it done. And, you know, with my shooting schedule already at 5 shows a week, it's kind of hard to eke out that extra time to do the bigger, more special things for you guys. So I'm going to need a little more time. I really don't want to rush this idea. I think it's going to be well worth it. So looking forward to hitting that 25 mark, which if things continue to go, crossing my fingers and knocking on wood, will probably happen sometime in the May area, April, May, somewhere around there. Which was also cool. I was looking at my numbers about a month ago and I wasn't sure if I was going to hit 20,000 before 2017. As of when I'm filming this, I'm actually still in 2016. It's like you're watching a time machine. I'm still in the past. And I hit it literally a day before New Year's Eve. So thank you guys so much. It really just means the world to me that the channel continues to grow and that we're all working together to bring new light to these cases, to raise exposure to these missing people, and to share time together here on YouTube. So thank you, thank you, thank you. In terms of the holidays, I did pretty well, got some nice things, got a little tiny Nintendo back here that's been occupying a lot of my time lately. It is really fun to play old games, and it's kind of crazy that so much of like my response time and all that came back. I mean, there's certain games where not only do you remember how to play them, but you know, using the different controller really takes you back to the 80s when I was playing this thing all the time. And it's pretty amazing that it just feels like an old glove. It's really, really fun to play. If you guys are able to find one, I know they're still tough to find. I really highly recommend it, particularly if you played those Nintendo games back in the 80s. It's really fun to jump back. And video gaming has changed so much that it's really cool to see kind of where it came from, and the games that seem like they're simpler in design sometimes rely a bit more on artwork and storytelling. It's really opened my eyes quite a bit to video gaming just as a whole, so I've been loving it. Outside of that, you might have noticed in the last brain scratch that BB-8 was poking his head behind me whenever I turned around. That is a new lamp I got that is modeled after BB-8, which it's the holidays. I love it. You know, people think about things that you like and they give them to you, and it's just warm fuzzies all the way around. So thank you to everyone that helped make my holidays so special. I did try to keep in touch with you guys, particularly on Twitter, so I just wanted to give all of you a shout out, and of course my Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys, thank you guys, thank you guys. So let's see, we've covered 20K, we've wished you a happy new year. We talked about my holidays a little bit. We have a little time left, so let's take a bit of a light topic today on Johnny Vlogs. You know, in doing a lot of research that I do for the Brain Scratch shows, I frequently come across news segments, and sometimes what'll happen, particularly nowadays, is you'll have a video segment that plays, and then someone will literally type out word for word what that video segment is saying, and they'll make an article out of it. And then for some reason, they'll post those two things together. So it's almost like a read-along where you can actually hit play on the video, start reading the article, and you're reading what they're saying to you. And what I'm noticing in that frequently, particularly for smaller television stations, and not smaller in terms of names. I mean, they're still like ABC or, you know, NBC and Fox, and they're big names, but they're in smaller parts of the country, so they're smaller stations. The news announcer voice is still extremely prevalent and being used everywhere. And I just wanted to do a little bit of research into that today, and I found an article. First of all, the main issue I have with it is it seems to be disconnected from the material sometimes, and I believe there's an effort that's going on when people put on that voice to almost make the audience believe that they are involved with the topic, that they know it very well, that they're trying to convey to you the emotions that are behind the topic. And unfortunately, for me personally, especially when I'm reading along, it really hits me like, whoa, you know, that person, do they even know what they're reading aloud? I mean, you know, you're talking about how a family is being traumatized or something, but you can talk about how the family has been traumatized. It just really cheapens it for me personally. So I did find this cool little article, not really an article, but just a post at Reddit that I wanted to share with you guys. And it's on this subreddit called Explain Like I'm 5, which I think is hilarious, by the way. And someone was asking about why do all news reporters use that same voice? Hoffmania1 gives a really good answer here. Simplest reason, newscasters have a special voice because if they just talked like everyone else, their broadcasts wouldn't have that distinct newscasty feeling. It's a convention. One scholar says it's due to something called the effort code. The effort code basically says, the more my voice goes up and down, the more I want you to pay attention. It comes from the idea that when you talk, your pitch is supposed to rise and fall to and from certain pitches. In fast or imprecise speech, you don't quite reach those targets, and your pitch range ends up being not as wide. So we started associating steep rises and falls of pitch with putting in more effort, which we associated with a higher level of importance. And that kind of makes sense for me because also if you notice these newscasters, they will typically be kind of frowning while they're doing that at the same time. The guy on 2020, what's his name? David Muir, the current host, one of the current hosts of 2020, Elizabeth Vargas is the other. She does it a little bit, but David Muir really, like even his headshot that I'm looking at right now, it's like his face was built for, this is ultra serious and we're going to share news with you. The thing that I question is identifying it as a convention. Has the time come and pass for that convention to be used in a popular fashion? A convention, to me, seems like it's almost like a style, and styles come and go. I haven't seen a good vaudeville show going on around here anywhere lately. Has that newscaster convention, has its time passed? And I think if we look at modern news reporting, first of all, not everyone's even doing this anymore. If you watch some CNN coverage, you'll see variations on it. For example, some people will say Nancy Grace, now her face is contorted, she looks angry most of the time, and a lot of the time she's shouting literally into the camera. So she's definitely using a different convention. You might look at someone like Anderson Cooper, who speaks very clearly and cleanly, but he's definitely not doing the up and down that we're noting in this convention as well. But if you look more towards the web, for example, the Young Turks, which is one of the biggest, I guess one of the biggest news channels that is independent and not backed by a major media corporation of some kind. And this is not about their views in any way. I'm specifically speaking about how they relay information to their audience. They really do not employ any of those conventions. It is a much more conversational dialogue. Quite honestly, that's what I'm kind of modeling myself after, because it touches you. It's more about making a connection with the person on the other end of the camera, and maybe not necessarily using tricks to grab their attention. The topics that you're talking about should have whatever attention-grabbing elements that you need. Otherwise, you're probably covering stories that aren't all that interesting. So for me personally, I wonder if the time for that news announcer voice has come and gone. But I'm looking forward to your input on it. So please use the comments below. Tell me what you think. about the news announcer voice? Do you have any funny stories about it? Any particular feelings about it? Can you think of other examples of people that are perhaps taking it in a new direction, like I mentioned with Nancy Grace, or people that are connecting on a bit more of a conversational, personal level, like hopefully I'm doing. I'm working really hard to try to do that. And I do notice there is something about when you're dealing with reading material, I feel the urge to sometimes do that, to sometimes get a little sing-songy with when I'm reading something word for word. But it seems like when I'm speaking openly, I don't quite have that same intuition, which is why I'm very thankful that my shows are not entirely scripted, that most of the content you're seeing is actually me recalling it in the moment and spitting it back out to you, almost like an improvisational style. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Thank you so much for the 20,000. Happy New Year. I will see you many more times in 2017, and let's look forward to that 25,000 mark where something very special is gonna happen. I promise. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you on the next show on the Lord and Arch channel.